Hey there, welcome back to SAP College. In today's video, we will be configuring project system, and we will do end-to-end configuration, and at the end we will create one project to check if our configuration is all right or not. So before going into the system, we would like to share with you this free ebook which is basically a collection of the blog post related to project systems. These blog posts are collected from the various platforms, and it is presented in such a way where you can follow them and configure your own project system setup. So, so basically, it is a book where you can find the best in curated blog post, best in category, in a such a in arranged manner where you can just read it as a book and you can configure your own project system. So link to this free ebook is in description box. Do check out, and also visit us and follow us and connect to us on other platforms. So without any further ado, let's get started. Right, so far we have already configured the GL setup, AP AR setup, asset accounting setup, and the basic controlling area setup. So now we will start to configure the project system in our controlling area and for our company code. Right, so the first step would be to define the special characters for project. So the T code is OPSK, and this is actually a client level setup, so it has to be done once in each client, right? So it will be applicable across so basically in first step we set up we define that how many characters would be in our project naming conventions, and we also have the options to define the special characters that we can use to uh, as a shortcut to entering the WBS elements and all those things. Since it's a one-time setup, until and unless you are not doing any kind of implementation, you will not need to go through this, right? So then in next then the second step would be to define project coding mask, and T code to this activity is OPSJ, as you can see on screen. So this is the OPSJ transaction, and here you have the option to define the coding mask in a way where uh, that you want to use when you will be defining different projects, right? So you can define up to 26 types of coding mask following ABCD, the letters of ABCD. So the first field only allows the characters and single digit characters. So you can imagine that only 26 characters is there in ABCD, right? So you can have the 26 types of coding mask, right? So that you can define on this OPSJ screen, right? So this was the OPSJ, and in next transaction we'll be defining the status profile, the next type, right? OK02. Okay, so we'll just go to OK02, and here we will be defining the project status profile, right? So let me find out project profile, status profile that we can copy. So it will be the user status profile that we can configure for our own project. It is a client level activity. You can create a project profile, or you can use any project profile that is created here in any projects of any controlling area, provided you need to assign these status profiles to project profile. So we will create our own project profile, our own status profile. AH02 maintenance language as EN. Let's go into detail. So we before we maintain the steps in our status profile, we need to select this allowed object types. Okay, so we are selecting project definition and a couple of object types that are related to the purchase orders and all WBS elements, right? So what does this object types will do? It will give us an option in our steps to allow some activity or not, right? You will get a little bit more idea in a minute or two. So we will just create the first step as a created the status. Whenever status will be created in the initial stage, it will have this state user status as CRTD. Okay, then we will try to give then we'll look for first approval. Okay, so our second step will be the first approval. So once status is in created state, user can move it through the first approval. And when the project will be in first approval state, what will be the allowed things that you can perform on the project? That's what we are selecting here, right? And this list of things that you are seeing now is because of the object types we selected just a minute before, right? So we selected WBS, we selected project definition. Because of this, we are able to see these things here in the screen, and now we can either allow them, we can forbid it from doing it, right? So we'll just on the first approval, will we'll forbid the creation of purchase order. So whenever project will be in first approval, it should not be allowed to create purchase order, but it would be allowed to do the budgeting. Okay, so once the first approval is there, the budgeting will be allowed. So the goods movement will forbid it. And we have WS. Okay, so looking for, is there anything else that we can? Alright, yeah, budgeting should be allowed. Then release of budget, return of budget, we can keep them as a forbid, right? So only you can do the original budgeting, but you cannot do the further actions on that budget, like transferring our budget or return of that budget, such things like that, right? And similarly, we will create now second approval. On the second approval, whatever we have forbidden in the first approval, we'll try to allow everything in this with the second approval. Okay, so we are in created, right? In on created state also, whenever project will be in created state, it should not allow to do any of activities that we are going to make it allowed in first approval and second approval. So everything basically should be in forbid state in the created initial stage of whenever the project is created, right? So these are the user status that we are defining. Created is there, first approval is there. Now I will create the second approval. We'll call it final approval. Okay, in final approval, we will allow all the activities like managing budget, transferring budget, returning budget, supplement, budgeting, creation of PO, everything. So basically, whenever we will have the final approval on our project, the project is free to be used for procurement and to do the expenditure on budget on project, right? So three steps are there. First is created approval, first approval, second approval, right? So just save it, and okay, so we are done, we are good with this. Now the next step is right, we are done with status approval. Next field selection for WBS and project, right? So uh, this is OPUJ. So here we can define the state of the field on the project, like whether the field should be inputable field, required field, displayed, hidden. So these things we can influence here uh, based on the project level and also on the WBS level, right? So we have these many options to influence these fields. Okay, so uh, so these are the fields that are available to change the status of each. Okay, so these are okay, content. Okay, so here you can see there are some of the influencing field based on which on that level we can change the status of the field. So here I have selected company code and I have entered the company code as AH02. So it means only for AH02 company code these fields will be in displayed mode that I am changing, which is created by, changed by, right? So for my company code, the whenever I will create a new project, this field will be in displayed mode, right? Similar like company code, we have other options like these are all business area, project profile, right? Plant, profit center. So based on this, uh, you can change the field, how field should behave, whether it would be inputable field, displayed field, changeable field, right? So these are all the influencing fields, and we need to do it separate on the project level, for the project level and for the WBS structure level. Okay, OPUK is for the WBS level, right? So you can see on WBS level we are seeing these fields like required cost center, profit center, right? So the next step is OPTY, defining the time profiles. Okay, so these time profiles are for whenever you will create a project. Based on these time profiles, you will it will calculate the start date and end date of the project, right? So uh, right, so we'll just copy one and select it in ours. So we will select calendar days, which will be start date is like from the first date whatever from when our project is created, and the end date, finish date will be in 99 days. Okay, enter in calculating period. Okay, we are getting this error. Okay, let's try selecting month. Okay, here we have this calendar days, so we'll copy this one. Okay. Okay, so this is done. The next step is to activate the project management and controlling area, OKKP. Okay, so in our case it is already activated, but just let's check it once again. What do you see? So the project's management is already activated in for our case, for our controlling area. So now define validation and substitution rules for project. Okay, so validation and substitution rules is not kind of mandatory, but in project system it's like we need substitution rules and we need validation rules, because each time when I creating project there are multiple n number of WS elements under one project, and we cannot keep entering all the fields in all the WS element which are repetitive in nature. So whenever you are working in project system, you will have to try to automate as much as field filling as possible, and through validation we can do that. So here, just for the sake of creating one substitution rule, we are creating, and we'll try to substitute one field. So let's check. Okay, so we'll try to substitute this company code field in all the subsequent WS elements. We'll take that field from the header level from project level, and we'll substitute that into all of the WS level company code field. Okay. Okay, and we'll verify this substitution rule in whenever we will create the project. Okay, let's search for company code. PS. Yeah, right. So we need from project table. So PROJ is the header for the project level company code. So we want this field to be substituted by the header level company code, right? And this should happen only when the company code would be AH02. Okay, so we'll move on to the next step, which is maintain budget profile for the T code is OPS9. Okay, so for whatever we have created, we need to consolidate right, everything into project profile, right? So similarly we have to create the budget profile. So budget profile, in budget profile we'll be defining the time frame for which we will be allowed to maintain the budget which we selected past 1 year and future 5 years. So whenever you will go into CJ30 for maintaining budget of any project, you will be able to maintain the budget for next 5 years, right? And that will be decided based on whatever we have maintained right now in our budget profile. Okay, so that is one important steps, important thing that budget profile carries with it. Okay, so the next one is the okay, budget profile we have done. Next one is number range for budgeting, which is okay 11. So so it is kind of client level, it is already maintained. OPSA, right? So right now whatever we have defined, we have maintained, we need to consolidate all of these all of that things into our project profile. So project profile is the one who will hold all of these details, and our projects will be uh, created under the project profile, right? So the validation rule for project definition WBS elements we have to maintain. So we have created one substitution rule for WBS, so that we will maintain. Then status management, we have created one status profile for WBS element, so that we will maintain. We don't have any profile created for standard profile, so we will keep it as 001. Then what are the other fields that we have created and we can maintain? We'll see. Let's organization. Okay, so in organization we can maintain controlling area, company code, profit center, these all details. Generally only the controlling area is maintained, because even the company code we would like to use same project profile for multiple company codes, but in our case we have only one company code, so we are doing that. uh, so the okay, so we don't have defined settlement profile yet, but budget profile we have maintained as AS02. So the settlement profile we have to maintain. Here we also have the option for statistical tick box to select if our project is statistical. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll create the project types for WBS elements, right? Okay, so we'll use the standard WBS ones that are already available there. Okay, the next step is to specify the create the applicants. Um, so this is also we have one field in project at project definition level, where in project where we can maintain the who is the applicant for this project. Okay, the next is the responsible person. So on the project definition level itself we have the option to maintain the responsible person for that particular project, and here we can create our own responsible person, and in office user we can give the user ID of SAP user ID of that user. Okay, so these fields are useful when we are doing for the workflow purposes, right? uh, So the next step is define layout for WBS elements. So we have this option where we can change the tabs of WBS elements or overall layout of the WBS elements, where we also have the option for some enhancements to do this, right? Okay. So we'll move on to the next step, which is define tolerance limit. Okay, so this tolerance limit is for the actual spend against the budget. So if we have budget of x dollars, then our actual spend should not extend or so it is like our actual spend should not exceed to that budget limit, or it should not, or whenever it will reach to that amount, we want to give some warnings or error messages, right? So this is what we will do here. Right, so this is based on the project profile. So for each project profile we can have the separate set of tolerance limits, right? So we are issuing a warning message at when the usage will be 80% and error message when the usage will be 99%, right? So next step we'll create the allocation structure, right? So we will also need a settlement profile. So for settlement profile we need a allocation structure here, right? Okay, our receiving category would be fixed asset. Let's come back. So in the source we have to select the cost elements. So whenever the cost will be on these elements, then only this cost only will get settled to the fixed asset, right? So so whatever cost you are booking with the along with the WBS elements, that should be booked on this cost elements. Only those costs that are booked on this cost element will get settled to a fixed asset, right? Okay. So we have the option to buy cost element or the settlement cost element. So buy cost element means with that source cost element only we are settling it down. If you want to use any other dedicated settlement cost element, then we need to create one under that settlement cost element category, right? So once the allocation structure is ready, now we will create one settlement profile. And it should be to be full settled. Allocation structure is AS. We don't have any other structure. It will be 100%. 100% in it is in percent settlement, and we'll enable the GL account settlement and fixed asset settlement. So our main purpose is just to settle on the fixed asset only. Okay. Okay, so we'll save this up. Now as a next step, we'll again have to go to our project profile and assign this settlement profile over there, right? So as of now, you can notice, or you must have noticed, that whatever we are creating or we are doing, everything is we are at the end we are entering it into our project profile. So 90% of the things were determined from the project profile. Okay, whether it is your budget profile, validation, substitution, settlement profile, whether the project is statistical or not, and a number of things. So the main thing here, it is the project profile only, right? Right. So now we will try to create a one project. Okay. And here we are going to select the project profile, and based on this project profile, now all the things that we have defined and assigned to this project profile will start validating things, or will start impacting whatever we are trying to do, right? Let's select the standard one. Okay, you can see the status is in created now. So the budget profile, we got it from the project profile, but we also have the option to change it here. So even though we have maintained XYZ project budget profile at the project profile level, we, but still we are flexible enough to make it change it at in on the project itself, right? So now we'll create one WS element under the project definition, and the project type that we did not created any of ours, so we will just select one standard one. So here you can see person responsible and applicant number that we are entering now, right? So okay, then responsible cost center and requesting cost center, it is like who is the responsible for this project and for which cost center they are creating this project, right? So this WBS is of investment category. Investment or overhead, we have two options. We actually have a couple of options. Okay, so now it's WBS is created, which we can also see through this way. Now we'll create the another WBS for OPEX, right? So this one is for operating expenses. Okay. Okay, and we are able to successfully create a project uh, in our own company code, in our own controlling area, where we have maintained the configuration just now, right? So here below we have the user status. Okay, status, you cannot set or delete. Okay, so we'll just check the statuses that we have defined, whether these are here or not, right? So status APR1 is allowed, is not allowed for WS. This number 20 in the current may not be higher than 10. Okay, we'll just quickly go to the status profile. It is because the we maintain the upper and lower steps, yeah, lower and higher level, right? So here we should make it allow to the next one level, so that it can be maintained. Okay, now we'll try to do it. Okay, you can see the user status approve 1 is now there, right, for our one of our WS elements. So these are all the steps that that we have configured, and we are able to successfully create our own project. We are able to use the status profile successfully. So with this, now we have already configured the GL controlling area, APAR, asset accounting, and in today's video we set up the project system, right? So the next step, in the next coming video, we will be configuring the treasury module, and we'll see what are the mandatory steps in treasury module. We will configure the money market, we'll configure the IHC, in-house cash, if possible. If for in-house cash we need multiple systems to be able to do it from end to end, so we'll see if possible we will do that. Then we'll do the bank communication management, where we'll see the EBS, DME like things. So stay tuned for upcoming videos. Till then,